So we purchased a bus. Exciting. It was in Idaho. Check it out. Pretty nice. It's got two spots for emergency exits. So probably back there we'll put like something like a overhead fan for the bedroom that'll be right here. This is like the heavy duty heater that comes with it, and it goes all the way through. I guess. Check this out. So it doesn't have emergency doors, but it has 4 emergency windows, and they open up. Ooh, food truck. So the interior was in good shape, and also the engine looked really, really nice. So I was super excited to purchase it and get it ready. It actually drives great. Check it out. It's Idaho. A bunch of farms and shit. Alright. I made it home. Took about 15 hours to get back. Spread it across 2 days. And now, time to get started demoing. The first thing that I was going to need to tackle was the flooring, which was built on top of the original bus flooring. So I had 2 layers of flooring I needed to get through. In the process of gutting out the bus, I found some free pencils. Everybody loves pencils. Look, I made a light. So, going through the floor the guy put into the original school floor, all the way down to the metal. And then I'm gonna, so far it's only surface rust, which is really good. And I'm gonna scrape all of this, clean it, treat it, and then I'm gonna paint it and seal all the holes. And that'll act as the permanent floor. Then we'll put insulation. I also connected this box fan. See, I'm running electricity out the window and extension cable into the house. This is the old floor. That's the floor that the guy put in. You're supposed to take the original floor out when you put a new floor in, but he just put it on top, which is really stupid. But yeah, and so it raised the floor up like almost an inch. So still got a lot more to do, but I got all this done today, so that was good. And I took the chair out and stuff. Once the floor was removed, I was able to see the extent of the rust damage, which seemed to only be surface rust, but there was a lot of shards of metal poking up that would need to be grinded flat in order to make the surface easily paintable. Beyond that, I also took this opportunity to disconnect the hoses that connected the rear heater and dragged the rear heater up towards the front of the bus. The next big challenge would be the driver's seat area. How to get it underneath. See, like the wood goes under this whole thing right here, and then under this area here. So in order to get that wood out and treat under it, I gotta remove all that stuff. And this is still not, it's so rotten that when I try to pry it up, it just falls apart. Most of the flooring came up pretty easily with a crowbar, but underneath the driver's seat area was an extra bit of a challenge. And that was because all of the dash components were sitting on top of the wood, which was then nailed to the metal. So I had to remove these units completely in order to access it. All of the wood flooring out, all the way up here to where the driver's seat is. And I cleaned all back behind there. A couple little surface spots of rust, but nothing too bad. This is just an access port that has a lid. So next I'm going to start grinding away. And then I'm going to convert all this rust into a paintable surface. And then enamel. Yeah! In order to remove the heater, I would need to figure out how to turn off the coolant and redirect it. Alright, I think I figured it out. So this 2 set of hoses here, this one and this one, have master cutoff switches. So that'll stop the coolant flowing from the actual radiator. Here is where it goes to the one side of the blower on the door. And then over there it goes to the other side and then also gets routed down. And alright, I got it out. Rigged it up in a bunch of buckets. It wasn't even that much liquid. It's just about that much. And then I got this oil pan from Harbor Freight, and I just used that to drain these lines that are coming from the engine. This is one of the shutoff valves. Now I'm just gonna plumb a pipe from here to here. That way if I need to dry. Take note that the heater will still have coolant in it, and so when you disconnect the hoses, expect liquid to come out. Once they're fully drained and you want to run the engine again, you will need to have a connecting hose that allows the coolant to flow back and forth freely. So I took a piece of the existing hose, cut it short, and used it. Next, I started to work on the panels on the sides that could be removed in order to access the old insulation and remove that. This took a little bit of work because there were a wide variety of different types of attachment points, different types of screws and rivets holding it on. Some would require grinding, others they wouldn't. Doing the insulation. All these panels came off pretty easy. See all these panels? They came off of there. They were easy to come off because they were screwed on, but this is all rivets. So I have to grind these or drill them out or something, I don't know. Same thing with the black panels. All that stuff's got to come out. There's insulation, old insulation behind that. There are actually 3 types of rivets. These are structural rivets. These are even more industrial structural rivets. And then like these up here, these are pop rivets. Those come off in like 2 seconds. These I have to like cut X's into first with the grinder. And in some areas, it's just held on with screws. So those areas are cool. Super easy. Here's all the sheet metal that I pulled off. This is a comparison so you can see what it looks like on the other side. So basically that whole black area is what I slowly removed today with lots of effort. All of the walls are done. Back wall, side wall, and the floor is clear. Only thing to do is the ceiling. And then I'm gonna do the rust grinding tomorrow. The next step required grinding away the rust scale that had deposited itself on the surface of the metal, and also grinding any existing fragments of bolts that used to connect the seats to the bus. Basically wanting to create as flat a surface as possible in order to do the chemical conversion of the rust and paint. So compare this ungrinded area to this grinded area. You see? So it's all basically just on the top. Partly it's decayed wood mixed with rust. So it just needs to be grinded off. This took like literally 2 minutes to grind this. I just didn't go anymore. Here you can see it better. See how it's like kind of pitted? Like that spot right there is still really rusty. I missed that. But this spot next to it is not as bright orange as that. But it should all convert. You're doing great. Keep going. Yeah! There you go. Good job, baby. See, like, all that big line right there? That's all silicone. It comes back around, goes down here. There's a big puddle of it. That's not even rust. You see that big circle right there? That's all silicone. That's rust. That's rust. But you see how I got it down mostly to the metal. It's hard to tell because it's still super dusty, but you can see all the metal poking out here, and then this is the unfinished area. You can see how it's like still really bright red. So just a couple more feet and I'm done. All the stores were sold out of goggles and I couldn't find my pair, so I rigged up something with an old 2-liter bottle in order to protect my eyes during the grinding process. Also, this is good for protests. Yep. Next big problem was... This is just chunks of rubber that I've been pulling out from around the edges of the wheel well. See, it was like a silicone that they put in above the wood. So it's got a bunch of rotten wood under it. So I gotta get it all out. And then that'll help me be able to treat all the rust. This is the one that I did with the palette knife. You see how you can kind of see it's more of a smooth line? In order to get down and get all the rust all the way to the edge, I need to be able to get to that area. I still need to do a little more there. Now look at this in comparison. See all that junk? So as you can see all around the wheel well, there's all this like goop mixed with rust and wood. That's all silicone that was put over top of the wood that's like fused on there. So that's what I got that power tool attachment for, so it can just help me do that really easily. because I tried to do it manually and I broke my palette knife. This is the tool that I used. It's called a hammer drill. Normally it has a drill bit on the end, but I bought a chisel. And so basically it does what a hammer and chisel will do, you know, like how they sculpted back in the day, like in Roman times, except for with power. I also used the hammer drill to break rivets. As you can see on the ground, all these little shiny metal things, those are all the bits and pieces of rivet that I had to basically destroy in order to get out. Check it out right here. The rivets are actually behind this guard that goes to the emergency door, so I had to actually use the circular blade to cut this metal piece off right here. And also these rivets down here are so much more difficult than the little pop rivets. Okay, so I think I hit a snag here. I think this floor and this wall section is one piece, or it's welded together. I see a couple spot welds here. I've been pulling all the gunk out with the machine, but doesn't it look like one? It turns out that the white panel on the bottom is actually structural and is welded to the floor. In fact, it actually holds the floor in place, so don't remove it like I almost did. I spent most of the morning rebuilding this rear door handle to be able to lock it with this attachment that I bought. I had to do some milling and I had to drill this out. So hopefully it's going to work now. Just waiting for my power tools to charge so I can cut this. Okay, got it locked. And now you shouldn't be able to move it. It's a little loose, looser than I'd like, but I can always take it apart and work on it some more if I have to. Alright, spin it twice to unlock. Oh, wrong way. Okay, that's locked. Uh-oh. That's unlocked. I think I have to take the key out for it to work. Yeah. My initial plan was to mill out the center of the existing bolt and put this new lock into it. That unfortunately didn't work, so I ended up using a piece of aluminum C-channel, which was the same diameter as the existing bolt. And as you can see, it fits in there. Washi washi. Used Dawn soap and a couple loads of 5-gallon buckets of water, and now I'm just waiting for it to dry. Looking much cleaner than before. Once the bus's surface was dry, I was able to apply Rustex rust converter. I ended up doing 2 coats over 2 days in order to get the full conversion process going. The Rustex did a great job, and as you can see, converted all the rust into an inert substance which was easily paintable. It's also biodegradable, so that's another reason to buy it. Today I'm sealing all the holes with silicone and doing the trim all around the edges and preparation for paint. So in about an hour or two, start my second bottle of this stuff, silicone paintable white by Gorilla. It dries in half an hour, which is awesome, and it's really good stuff. Alright, everything's sealed up. All along the edges, every seam. So now I wait about half an hour or more for it to dry, and then I start to enamel. The silicone dried pretty quickly, and so I was able to start laying down coats of enamel. The enamel came out really nice, and I went ahead and painted all the way up to the walls. And that's pretty much where we wrapped. This is day 9 of our build. It's been just a little bit over a week, and we're excited to see where this goes. Second coat. I'm gonna let it dry, and I'll do a full rollout tomorrow.